Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys should become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, but you guys should subscribe. So today we are going to be talking about Emerald and Mercury and whether or not they are leaving Salem. Because here's what people were saying. So people were saying, like, Emerald and Mercury already looked out the window and saw some shit, right? Like, they looked out the window and saw Grim coming out of the ground. So if that didn't scare them, nothing will. But this is a little different, in my personal opinion, right? Because there's one thing seeing Grim around. That would make anyone unsettled, because usually Grim hurt humans. Like, are you really safe inside this castle, right? So I understand why Emerald and Mercury are looking outside and they're freaked out, right? But here, in the Volume 6 end credit scene, it does parallel to that scene of both of them looking out the window that happened in Volume 4, but it's different because instead of just seeing Grim pop out of the ground, they're seeing Salem edit the Grim and then standing there with her little smile as she looks at her children.
I wish someone looked with that love and caring at me the way Salem looked at her flying monkeys. I'm like, no one has ever loved me the way Salem.
The people that are like, well, Mercury saw the Grim before, so like, if he's not freaked out then, he wouldn't be freaked out now. Like, no. Okay, this is a little different, in my opinion, alright? And the reason why it's different is because it's a difference between seeing Grim pop out of the ground, right?
And they were horrified.
That's scary, and they were horrified.
Back
then. But there's a difference between seeing that and then seeing Salem pull a Grim out of the ground, edit him, and then make a giant flock, like, on the walls of the castle.
And I feel like the giant flock would be menacing in its own right. And especially, we don't know what it looks like, but it appears at the end she's able to control the Grim Goop trademark and make something bigger.
You see the wings pop out of the Grim, like, that's some freaky-ass shit, okay? And so even though Mercury was like, I want to be a part of the new world, I want to be king, I want to have all of my bitches, my concubines, like, or whatever. We don't know if that's what Mercury wants. I'm just
presumably what he wants.
Like, if he has a place in the new world, what else would that mean, right? He wants to be king or ruler or something.
Or maybe not that.
Or maybe he wants, like, to be able to kill people in the new world without people bothering him, but still, that's basically what a king does, so.
Kind of.
So, basically,
only legitimate use of force.
My point is that Mercury wants to be a part of the new world, but now, like, they're both looking out the window, and it's sort of like, honey, something's not, like, this isn't working, like, something is going on here, right? And so you sort of have Hazel being like, you know what they say, if you want something done right, you should do it yourself, or whatever he says. And so I just think it's all very interesting. Like, last volume, we did like 3 or 4 videos about Emerald leaving, like what Emerald thinks of Salem. Will Emerald run away? Will Emerald get a redemption arc? But now that they're both together, I feel like Mercury and Emerald are planning some sort of escape plan. Because really, even though Mercury had that giant speech about why he wanted to stay here, I feel like if I were Mercury, I would get the fuck out of Dodge right now, while I still can. And I feel like they're setting up Hazel to help the kids escape. Yeah. Like, with how many interactions they have with Hazel and how Hazel seems like their dad, I feel like if they wanted to leave, Hazel would protect them from Tyrion. Because Tyrion was like, leave so I can hunt y'all down. Like, he was sort of had that attitude,
also,
right?
Hazel has some, like, pretty significant dad energy, like, at the end of Volume 5.
That's a big dad energy.
Salem.
Yeah, he picks
her and just over his shoulder, right? And he's just running, and she's, like, bouncing on his.
So I feel like the intention is to make Hazel sort of the dad, right? And so you have these two, like, kids, right? And I feel like with Tyrion being like, yeah, leave so I can hunt y'all down because y'all aren't making it out alive, I feel like Hazel will be the one that sort of disobeys and helps them run away. Because I feel like right now what Salem wants is she wants to groom Emerald into being a maiden so they can have a maiden because they need the maidens, right? So that's sort of important. But I feel like that Emerald's gonna be like, no. And so in terms of like what's gonna happen next though, I kind of feel like it almost parallels to Hazel's relationship with Gretchen. Yeah. Right? Hansel and Gretel is all about like parents leaving their children in the woods and then they like go over and find the witch and then they trick the witch and like kill them, right? And so I feel like that maybe Hazel could sees Emerald as Gretchen and Mercury as maybe himself, if that makes it, like Mercury as him. Because if you think about it, right, Gretchen went to the huntsman school, he didn't seem to go. He didn't think that, you know, there was anything necessarily worth him being a huntsman, so he let her go alone and then she died. And so she may see that this could be the same situation where Mercury lets Emerald go because Mercury doesn't want to go anywhere, and then Emerald ends up dying, and then like Mercury would regret it forever. And so instead of having history repeat itself, it could be a thing where he's like, I'm gonna help both of you leave because that's what should have happened in the first place. Because I'm sure Hazel was like, well, what if I went to the Huntsman school and we went together? I could have protected her, right? Or even the other way. What if I had convinced her to stay, like, stay home, then she would have never went there, and then none of this would have happened. And so Hazel could look at maybe Mercury and Emerald and see that it's going in that same direction where Mercury's like, well, I don't give a fuck, I'm staying here, I want to be a part of the new world order.
Which he seems to be less about doing good by Salem and more just an anger towards Ozpin, and yet he seems so calm. So I'm not totally... I haven't worked out what his character is. I like the idea of helping them run away.
Like, I like that idea. Just
or maybe even,
like,
not even helping, maybe looking the other way.
Yeah, even that. Or, like, not, like, telling them where they're going.
Because he seems very, like, very much so a pacifist in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, there doesn't have to be violence. Like, I don't want to have to fight you children. So I feel like he would just let them go.
Yeah, or like, something like that.
Like,
or help them escape in terms of like, maybe. Hey, here's what you guys need. Good luck out there. Yeah. Like, or
watch
even
out.
Convince Mercury to take, like, to go after herself, like to go after Mercury to go with Emerald, right? Like Hazel could sort of be like, you're gonna regret it if you don't. You know what I mean? Just because it's sort of that situation that he had with his sister again. So I feel like that would be nice. Like, I feel like it would be nice for Hazel to sort of almost insert himself into that story. Because if you think about it, right, if we're looking at, like, Hansel and Gretel parallels and Hazel is Hansel, what happened in the story is that the mom, right, the evil mom, convinced the dad to leave the kids in the woods, right? And so what if Hazel is the dad in this situation and he just can't bring himself to leave his children in the woods to be gobbled up by the witch? Because that's basically the idea of the story, right? And so what if it's sort of like that? And obviously Emerald and Mercury aren't based off Hansel and Gretel, but I'm saying it in terms of if Hazel and his sister are, it could sort of be that situation of he sees it as history repeating himself. He remembers what he thinks as his dad leaving them in the woods, which was what maybe led Gretchen to go to the Huntsman school or whatever. So that's how I sort of see it. So I think that he's going to help them in some capacity, help them to leave, or at least convince them both that they should go, or convince Mercury that he should go and protect Emerald so they have each other.
You get the idea that Emerald is more or less pretty okay with
she's ready. Like, she's ready to go. It's Mercury who seems
as far as
like...
she's aware, like, Cinder is dead.
Well, no, they know Cinder's alive.
Do they?
Yeah. Salem said it, remember? And Emerald was like, Cinder's alive? And then Salem was like, well, we're putting her in timeout. We're not going to talk to her.
Okay, yeah, so maybe she's going to try to go and find Cinder, and maybe be a little jealous when Cinder has her new...
Neo, right?
New side
That was
piece.
our other idea of it. It's sort of one of those things where it's like, yeah, I feel like Emerald, even if she's not trying to leave Salem, she'll be like, well, Cinder's out there. I can't just stay here, right? Like, I can't just stay here and know that she's out there all alone. But that's where Mercury's like, you're fucking delusional. Cinder doesn't love you, right?
Yeah, but what if, like, I feel like Mercury is going to keep on... I feel like Mercury doesn't want to admit that he cares about the well-being
of Emerald.
Exactly. But he will keep on doing shit to help her.
Yeah.
I feel like both of them, they're going to have maybe their turning good arc, and that Mercury has to realize, no, he's not an island. He does care about certain people.
And that's why I'm saying for Hazel to be like, listen, all right?
Look after her.
I know, like, I can see what's going on here. Like, even if their relationship is just a brother and sister one between them, it's sort of like, listen, I've seen this all play out before. You may act like you don't care about her, but we all know that you do, so make sure she's okay, right? Or whatever Hazel would say. Probably a bit more short than that, because Hazel is very,
maybe he explains more of his story, or we get a better idea
of his story,
of his relationship with his sister, and what, because you only get, like, brief him yelling, Ozpin!
All of that stuff.
So it would certainly be interesting, because then you get, like, Emerald realizing, no, I let myself be dragged on by this person who didn't care about me, and I used to just do bad things because I had to survive. Now I did bad things because I fell in love with a bitch. And then you gotta, because she was thirsty, and then we've always been there, fall in love with someone evil.
To take over the world,
tries to take over the world, has a grim arm. Fuck me, right? And so that would be very interesting that they both sort of come into their own understanding of, like, oh, I have, like, our morals are all sorts of fucked up. We don't actually feel the way we feel. And maybe, I don't think they're gonna, imagine if, like, somehow
I don't think they're gonna join the good guys,
Emerald
but I think
and
they're
Mercury
going to leave,
end up with, like, Ilian's son somehow. That would be an interesting...
And then Sun and Ilia wouldn't even recognize them, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, everybody's in Vacuo, and, like, Emerald
Yeah,
and Mercury,
no,
they're
they
all just
wouldn't.
sitting together eating ice cream like this is some Kingdom Hearts ass game, and then they're like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Emerald and Mercury are the bad guy, like,
Because Sun and Ilya never talked to Blake about, or at least we never see them talk to Blake about Yang, so they wouldn't know what Mercury did. Like, how's your leg? And
I
he's
feel
like
like Sun doesn't even know, like, Sun doesn't even know, like,
I feel
Cinder,
like that would
whatever.
be like a really fun kind of dynamic. Like Sun and Mercury would butt heads, and Ilya and Emerald would be gay.
Together.
But they also kind of have similar sort of MOs that they maybe have. They were a little too. They maybe trusted some bad people in their day and ended up doing bad things. So maybe they can relate, and maybe they can help each other.
Imagine we just go to Vacuo and then they're both there, like, what's up, guys?
What's it? That would be great. That would be so great.
That would be hilarious, though, because like
my
everybody just
God.
pulls out their weapon and then like, Ilya, son, what the fuck are y'all
And then it's just like, oh, you met my girlfriend. You're what? And then we get like a big like Salem like flashback episode of them meeting and like joining together. That would be fucking amazing.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, you guys should be
my
patrons
God.
over on Patreon, and I will see you guys later. Bye, guys.
I would love the shit out of that.
Thank you guys for watching, and thank you to all of our lovely patrons who have decided to support us over on Patreon. If you guys want to join up, there are a bunch of cool rewards for you guys, and some of the fan favorite rewards you guys could say are getting early access to our videos, being able to join and talk in our Discord server, being able to request videos at the $10 tier using video tickets. Those are just some of them, and so if any of those things interest you guys should check it out, become a patron, join our lovely patrons and I in the Discord server, and I will see you all in another video. Bye, guys!